to have you all here for one last session for this series. I thought this was going to happen a month ago, the last session, but I'm really glad that the library extended it, and it's been a pleasure to continue this practice with you all weekly and have that consistency. I've been thinking about what I would want to leave you all with in this last session of this series, like what practice or approach feels most medicinal, most potent, most relevant for the lives that a lot of us are living in modern day society. And I unsurprisingly have circled back around to self-compassion. I've also been teaching a lot on this in other spaces in the past couple of weeks. So it's very much at the forefront of my mind and also my practice. Sometimes I switch up my practice, like my daily practice, based on what is really needed in the moment. Is it more grounding? Is it more spaciousness? Is it more sort of analytical, like figuring out where the pieces in my life and mind are moving together and where the stickiness is? And the past week, I've been doing just completely self-compassion every single morning because I am in graduate school and we are in the middle of finals for this term, and there's just a lot going on. And so I've found that just creating a conscious space to be with myself in a caring, tender, friendly way feels quite transformative. So that's what I want to guide today. A couple of things about self-compassion. It's really, in its simplest sense, it's compassion directed inward toward ourselves. So when we think about the loving kindness and compassion we would offer a good friend, it's like taking that and kind of embodying it and turning it back toward ourselves. It feels soothing. It kind of reinstates a sense of safety and connectedness with ourselves, but also with people around us. So sometimes when we're in a space of agitation or overwhelm or some sort of struggle or challenge, some sort of pain or hurt, there can be a tendency to kind of close up and isolate, especially in terms of having thoughts around this is separating me from the rest of the world, or really feeling in our own world in a way that doesn't feel good. It feels kind of separated, and it can make us less keen to reach out to others or to even receive the kindness or compassion from others. So the function of self-compassion is not only to create more of a sense of safety and kind of down-regulate some of the stress response so that we have more access to our best decision-making and sense of goodness and connectedness within ourselves. But it's also to kind of be a safety net, a way to ensure that we stay as connected to others as we can. Because that's also a buffer for stress, like being open to our interdependence and our interconnectedness. So this practice, we've done variations of it before, but this is a basic mindful self-compassion practice, we call it. So we'll practice coming into a space where we feel grounded and kind of spacious. The image I like to use is embodying the open, spacious sky. And then working with whatever content kind of arises. Maybe it's something that's been on your mind today or recently this week, something that's been kind of nudging at you, and just being with it in a different way than we typically are in daily life, which, if it's something difficult, is often just feeling like it's attacking us or just kind of having control over us. But we're going to give it some space and actually kind of see it and acknowledge it, and then re-engage with a kind, caring, compassionate, tender sort of quality. So this is it. And contrary to popular belief, meditation is not always about getting rid of our thoughts. In this practice, we're actually using maybe some thoughts that have been like nagging at us and letting them arise, but just letting them do so in a way where we have some more agency over how we engage. So I hope that this practice brings you a little bit of ease and sense of comfort and grounding, and we'll get started. We'll start and end with a bell. So just allowing yourself to come to a comfortable resting position that might be seated, might be reclined, laying on your back. Allowing the eyelids to soften, the eyes to rest closed if that feels good for you. Otherwise, just allowing for a gentle, soft gaze somewhere in front of you, not focused on anything in particular. Becoming aware of your body, your breathing body. So you might notice where you feel the surface below you or behind you kind of coming to meet and support you. You might feel the gentle rise and fall of your inhales and your exhales. We're just getting familiar with how we are in this moment. You might notice if there are points of tension in your physical body, spaces where you're holding, and spaces where you might not need to hold so much. So, what might it be like to bring a little softness to those spaces? Just letting some tension kind of melt away if it's ready to. And then tuning in for the next several moments to the rhythm of your breathing. So that ever present kind of methodical rhythm of your breath. No need to change or alter anything. Just allowing yourself to be with your breathing with a quality of care, quality of tenderness, kind of an openness toward yourself. We'll remind ourselves in this moment the purpose of this practice. It's not to create an experience, it's just to kind of let go and let the layers fall away, to reveal that more natural, grounded state of being. So, what's always kind of beneath the surface of the buzz of our everyday life, just returning to that, just dropping into that, relaxing into it. And from this space, if you've accessed the space of maybe a little bit more openness, grounding, spaciousness, I invite you to just bring into your awareness, something that's been nagging at you or getting on your nerves lately, troubling you. It could be something that's like very readily on your mind. Perhaps it was on your mind as you even entered this space, this practice space. Could be a difficulty in a relationship or at work or even just a sense of worry or overwhelm, but something that typically is kind of pushed out of your awareness because it might cause some discomfort, it might cause some stress. I invite you here to instead just be mindful of it. So it's like we're really inviting it into the space. But keeping some spaciousness around it. So if you feel at any point like it's kind of consuming you or it has that power, just come back to your breathing, kind of soften your investment in it, let it go, and then re-engage when you can. But we're really just being aware of, yeah, something that's been hurting lately, something that's been causing us some distress or some pain. And just opening your heart a bit to the hurt, to the tenderness. For some, it might feel like just a surrendering to this process. This willingness to just be with, the hurt, to be with the challenge. To be with yourself in this kind of tender, gentle way. And also now bringing into your awareness how this experience of distress or kind of struggle or hurt of some kind, the challenge you feel, just recognizing this is a part of the human experience. This is really something that is really felt in a fundamental way in all of the human family. It's what one teacher of mine calls our membership card for being human. So it's something that connects rather than isolates, something that brings you into a collective experience. You might even become aware in this moment of like, oh, yeah, this other person, I think they might be struggling with something similar. Or I can imagine other people who I don't even know who also experience this sort of pain and hurt. This is something that connects us, something we experience together, even when we have our own unique sort of aspects of the experience. Continuing to just soften into yourself in that sort of tenderness and care. And then as we continue with this process, next we'll just lean into extending kindness toward ourselves, a sort of nurturing. So, leaning into being our own inner nurturer. What does this aspect of self need in this moment? If there's been like worry or doubt, does it need reassurance? If this part of yourself feels like it's just been like dismissed over and over and it's kind of desperate to be seen or recognized, would the words or affirmation of "I see you, I'm here," would that be the gesture of kindness toward yourself? Is it more of a physical gesture? Is it placing a hand at heart center, actually feeling the warmth of your palm on your chest? Perhaps just recognition of, I know it's been hard. Just kind of generating and giving yourself this soothing balm of nurturing, of kindness, of compassion. Being with yourself in this moment in a kind, tender, and caring way. Noticing how that might sort of turn the volume down on some of the distress that's come out of whatever this pain is. We're just turning towards it. We're being with. Giving yourself a break, letting yourself rest, as opposed to what has maybe felt like this constant sort of hustle and bustle and the running away or pushing away, just being with. This is our practice for today. Continuing for the next minute or so with the nurturing. Really sensing what you need in this moment. What encouragement, what words or sense of safety, and just offering that to yourself. Being your own best nurturer with wisdom and skill and care. Sometimes part of this process is a natural unfolding of noticing like other things that are even connected to this one hurt or pain. So if that is happening, just continuing to allow things to arise if it's not too much. And whatever arises, giving nurturing to that thing and that thing and that thing. Just allowing yourself to really like overflow with this ability to nurture, to care. And then finally, if you've experienced any resistance through this practice or experiencing it now, what might it be like to soften towards yourself in that, to just soften toward the resistance, making space for it, giving yourself compassion for maybe having some resistance. And take maybe a few more breath cycles here. So kind of getting back in tune with your breathing as you prepare to bring this practice to a close for today. Eventually letting go of the focus on the content or the focus on the nurturing. Allowing it to just kind of settle, held by that space of self-care. And kind of feeling again the contours of your physical body, sensing the space of the room, maybe temperature of the air, contact points between yourself and the surface beneath you. If it feels good for you to seal your practice with a gesture, I invite you to bring hand to heart center, or you can just kind of squeeze the tops of the legs or bring palms facing each other at heart center in Anjali Mudra. And then as you hear the bell, making your way back to our shared space. So taking your time to come back, moving your body if you need to, stretching your legs.